welcome to Satsang. Namaste. First of all, I'm so glad that all of you could make it. And this I consider a very special and sacred event. I've been traveling all around the country holding these gatherings. And I've been doing that for the past 10 years. So originally, my teacher, whose name is Swami Purna, we lit a little candle for him. Back in 2012, he asked me to leave my old life behind and kind of like sell my old business, got rid of my car, pretty much all my clothes, all my belongings. I just either gave away or I sold them. And then I got a van and then put a bed in the van and then set out on the road and been sort of wandering and traveling since. And that van actually is, her name was Persistence, but she's long retired. So now I have a more fuel efficient vehicle. So downsized, right? A smaller car, so it just works better for now.
Maybe her name is Prudence.
Actually, she does have a name. It's a Prius, by the way. And her name is Samarpan. Samarpan means in Sanskrit merge, to merge. It's very similar to the word yoga. Yoga means yoke or union. So the purpose of practicing yoga is to feel union with the cosmos. That's the ultimate goal. A lot of people in the United States have kind of lost sight of the original purpose of yoga, thinking that it's more about stretching and exercising and sweating. And so, but at least according to Patanjali, who was the great sage who kind of developed the Eightfold Path of Yoga, the final stage of yoga is indeed samadhi. And samadhi is a merger. It's a merger with the whole. So that is the final stage of yoga. So all the sort of poses that we do in yoga class, all the asanas, which are the seats, help us to become more comfortable so that we can sit in meditation and feel the merger with the cosmos. That is the true goal of yoga. So in one way, I really am kind of sharing yoga, just in a different form than the sort of normal stretching and asana. So I'll tell you a little story about what happened when I first left in my van. I had a bed in the van, and it was along the 40 highway. Do you know where the 40 is? That goes west towards California. So I was driving Persistence along this road, and then suddenly I saw that the gauge had gone down to empty. I thought, gosh, I wonder how long I could drive in the red. And then I put my map and it said like 20 miles to the next gas station. So I was driving, and then I could see the exit to the gas station in the distance, and then it was completely out of gas, not even a drop left. And so I just let go, and it just rolled and rolled and rolled, and then it got to the exit and it rolled down, and then it stopped completely at the stop sign. And about 100 yards to the right was the gas station. So I was so close, so close. And I thought, well, how am I going to get there? It's 100 yards. I mean, what do you do? So what I did is I walked to the gas station and I just started like wandering around the gas station. And there was a guy at the buying like a little phone card for his cell phone, for minutes on his cell phone. And I went up to him and I said, "Hi, my name is Brian. What's your name?" And he says, "Oh, my name is Charlie." Charlie. I said, "Charlie, can I buy that for you? Can I buy your card for you?" "Really? Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you." So I bought his card, and then I looked at him and I said, "Charlie, I've got an issue right now. My van is stuck at the stop sign. Would you be able to help me?" So he said, "Of course." So he and I walked back, and he took the wheel of the van, and I pushed this big van. It's a pretty big van. I can't describe it to you, but it's pretty big. So I was pushing with all my might, and he was guiding the steering wheel, and we pushed it all the way to the and when he got out of the car, he went back into the gas station, and I started filling up. Well, as I was trying to drive away from the gas station, I heard this clunk, 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 or something, that kind of sound. What's that noise? So I got out of the car, and I saw the wheel of the wheel was kind of falling off of persistence. I thought, uh-oh, I'm not sure how to fix this. So I went inside the gas station again, and guess who was there? Charlie. Good guess. Charlie was there. I said, "Charlie, I've got another problem. My wheel is falling off. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be able to drive this car, so would you be able to help me?" And he says, "Oh yeah, no problem. My house is 6 miles away from here, up in the hills. I can take you there." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, then I'll fix your wheel." I said, "Wow, that's very kind of you." He said, "But first, I'm actually going to watch this movie." We were at a truck station. It was a truck station, gas station, truck station. "Would you like to watch the movie with me?" So, "What movie is it?" He said, "I'm not sure, but I'm sure it will be good." I said, "Okay, let's do it." So that night we sat down for 2 hours in this truck station where there was a little mini movie theater, and I watched this action movie with Charlie. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good movie. So then after we were done, then he led me right onto the freeway, and then this exit, and then we took this dirt road for probably 6 miles, way up high in the mountains. If you've ever been on the 40, it's so remote. And then we got to his house, and there were no lights, and just one full moon in the distance, clear sky, so beautiful. And then I got out of my car, and he said, "Well, I've got someone staying here already." He calls him a boarder. So I said, "No worries, I've got a bed in my car. I'll just stay here, and then maybe tomorrow you could work on the car." So I slept in my bed that night in the car, and the next day woke up and then knocked on his door, and he invited me in. He said, "Brian, you're just in time. Me and my boarder just made some pancakes. Would you like to have breakfast with us?" I said, "Certainly." So we sat down at the table, and there was this dog lying there too. And he brought out this almost bucket of margarine that was pretty much totally melted. You've seen margarine before, margarine. I'm not even sure what margarine actually is. Or you don't want to know. And then the pancakes. I said, "Wow!" And then the syrup. I said, "What a feast!" And me, I generally eat organic food, rabbit food practically, organic greens and things like that. Very healthy. So eating this was normally I would never eat this, right? But they were very kind to invite me. So we sat down, and I was eating these pancakes, and I looked at his TV and his VCR, and I said, "Oh, look at this! You've got a TV and a VCR here. Well, what was the last movie you watched?" He said, "Oh, I haven't seen a movie in ages. Ages." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Because there's no electricity here. My generator is dead." And then I said, "Well, gosh, let me see what I could do." So I went out to my van. It just so happened that before the trip, I had bought this really nice red Honda generator. It's about this big. Generators, they're nice. They produce some really good electricity. I thought, just in case I need to plug in something. And so I brought it out, and I put it out there and he plugged in everything, and the VCR and the TV into this generator, and he revved up the generator, turned on the TV, and it lit up, and already he and the boarder were so excited that he turned on the VCR. Ooh, even better. And then he puts in a movie, turns it on, and so that day, it was July 4th. And do you know what movie it was?
Independence Day.
Yes. It was Independence Day. And so we sat down to watch this movie together. Me, the boarder, Charlie, and the dog. This movie called Independence Day on July 4th. And about, an hour or so in, I said, "Charlie, it's time for me to go. I'm on a journey." so he said, "Oh, do you have to go?" "Yeah, I really have to go." He said, and then I said, "But I thought, you could use this generator more than I can, so you keep it." And he looked at me like in utter shock. Like, no, I can't take this. You need this. I said, no, you need this much more than I do. This is your Independence Day. Because when you have electricity, it's like you're independent, right? And so he took it, and he said, "Oh, well, let me guide you back down, because, it's this long, windy road. You're on the edge of this cliff." And so he kind of led me back down, and then waved goodbye, and then I went on my way. After he had fixed my tire, by the way.
I was wondering about that.
He's like, "What about that? Did he fix your tire? Let's not leave that out." It's almost kind of like a side note now. So one of the reasons I tell you that story is because I've had all kinds of things happen like that. But one of the beautiful things that humans can do on this planet is sharing and caring. It's one of the special things that humans are capable of, and I would say that's a good definition for love. Sharing and caring. So if someone comes in through the door to a yoga studio to make them feel welcome, you might have like a bowl of fruit or some tea or something. But just sort of like a welcoming attitude, like everyone is your friend, everyone's your neighbor, like you're there for everyone, whoever it is. And there was a time when Earth was like that, and that was called the Golden Age, thousands and thousands of years ago, when most people were enlightened. Most people were illuminated. They were self-aware. So I could have walked, across the United States and knocked on anyone's door, and I would say, "Oh, I'm traveling. I'm a traveling monk, and I'm holding spiritual gatherings, and I'm looking for a place to stay for the night." And then they would gladly welcome me into their home. Now, if you did this, if I went to one of those, mansions over here that I passed through in Fort Worth, they would have thought I was crazy, and a lot of fear too, right? So we're in a completely different world. This is, instead of a golden age, now we're more what I would call an iron age, where the sort of sentiment of sharing and caring is a lot of times kind of fallen through the cracks. So the reason why I do these gatherings is to kind of bring that back, to ignite that again in the heart, in the human heart, to make that alive. It's like a grassroots movement, one person at a time, where they can kind of like feel their heart again, activate the heart. So what we began with, the mantra Purnam Premam Saranam, the essence of that mantra is what is being presented, because love isn't it's not an emotion. The way we term emotion, I fell in love with someone, and we had this wonderful romance, and I love them so much. But that's in general, that's more of an emotional love that fluctuates. As long as the person keeps giving what you want, there's like this exchange going on. It's like almost to the point of being a business deal. If you do this and I do this for you, then we'll be in love. But the moment it's a conditional love. So when you chant the words Purnam Premam Saranam, you invoke the presence of love. That is a completely different dimension, a different universe, far beyond this world. Impossible to explain. You have to know it, you have to become it in order to really get what I'm saying. So, true love or spiritual love is a presence of acceptance, a presence of kindness and care, but it's an energy versus an emotional, because emotions go up and down. One day you're sad, the next day you're happy. One day you're up, the next day you're down. And out of this presence, then your emotions are transformed. Your thoughts are transformed. Your actions are transformed. You naturally become a loving person through your connection with the presence. So there's a summary of love right there. Had you ever heard that definition before? Yeah. So we can chant another mantra together to invoke that, and you can kind of start to feel more and more. And the idea too is as we're chanting it aloud, that the energy fills the room as well. So anyone who comes in will feel what we've created here. Kind of like, again, like walking into a vortex. You've been to Sedona before? Sedona, they have these vortexes or vortices. You'll go especially there and you feel this energy. Right? So you can make your yoga studio into a vortex, specifically with the presence of love. It could be any spiritual energy depending, but just happens today, that's what we're focusing on. So that's what we're going to chant. So the mantra, this one, is Anandam Premanandam. It's also Sanskrit. They're all very ancient mantras, and these have been chanted for thousands of years. So I'm not the first one who's chanted them. So Anandam Premanandam. Yeah, you got it. Nice. And you can sing with me. You don't have to. I don't really care whether you sing it right or not. It's more about the sentiment of it. Like you appreciate, this is an invocation of love? What's that about? Let me see. Let me feel into this. So go with me as you get it. Anandam Premanandam. Anandam Premanandam. Anandam Premanandam. Anandam Premanandam. Anandam Ananda Premananda Ananda Premananda Ananda Premananda Just relax and set your intention to feel the presence of the mantra. Just setting the intention in your mind already creates a bridge into that dimension. So the real teachings of this class, if you want to call it that, they're invisible. Those are the real teachings, not what I'm saying or even necessarily the mantras or any of the words. It's more of a feeling on your part. What do you feel? What do you sense? And if you want to learn how to tune in to subtle energy, I can share a little bit about that. It probably would be actually helpful. I went to a spiritual retreat back in 2007, my first spiritual retreat ever. And we did some really deep breathing. And I was lying kind of flat on the floor, and it was, about 45 minutes of breathing, at least, maybe even an hour of breathing like this. Like that. Maybe we do for like 15 minutes or something, have a little rest, and then we do it again. Serious breathing, right? Can you imagine for an hour? And about 45 minutes into it, I clicked in. Something happened. Like, I describe it as like a light switch, like a flame turned on. And I was aware. I just knew what spiritual energy was. I had kind of entered into another dimension. I had gone to some beyond. And it was extraordinary. Or when I opened my eyes after the breath session and went to lunch or whatever, the colors were so vibrant, alive. And the food was just, I couldn't believe the food. It was this magnificent taste. Senses were really heightened. And just my experience of life was different. It was like floating. And that meditation never turned off. It just kept going. So since then, my mind has been in this floating state of meditation, always. And so the idea is to share it with you. So, because when you're around someone who's experiencing a state, you can catch on to that state. You can feel it also. It's catchable. You want to say that? Communicable, maybe, if you want to call it.
It's like entrainment.
Yeah, and like an entrainment. You can feel it, you can experience it too. But the important thing is to associate with someone who is genuinely in that state. Because you can read a lot about spiritual philosophy, learn a lot about spirituality and religion and energy and all that, healing, and learn about chakras and learn about yoga. But just because you read about that and even practice those things, what if you're practicing mantra or you're practicing yoga or whatever, does not mean that you will experience a spiritual state. So what I would say, the quickest and most powerful way to, and just from my own experience, others may disagree with me, and I'm not saying that I'm right about this, but from my exploration and meeting so many other people who are also spiritually oriented, that association with true spiritual energy is crucial to touching your own. It can help to light your flame as well. And then you can experience something profound. Now, what are the experiences? Like, what are the signs of you could call it a kind of awakening, if you want to call it that. One would be like a buoyancy, like you just feel energy being pushed up, pushing your mind into meditation naturally. I like to call that buoyancy. It's a good word. And because of that, you feel peaceful. So even if really difficult things happen in your life, it's not such a big deal. So say someone crashes into your car. I'll give you another example. When I got persistence in Austin, Texas, where I was living at the time, persistence broke down 11 times before I was actually able to leave Austin. Before I was even got out of the Austin limits. And I had to call like a tow truck person, and I remember even one time it was kind of in a more rural place, right, it was kind of right outside of Austin. It broke. I got some flat tire or something, and then the tow truck towed me to the nearest mechanic, and then he told me the price. I don't know, it was like $85 or something. And he says it'll take an hour or 2 hours or something. And so he worked on it, and then after working on it, he says, okay, I only take cash. And I only had $75 of cash in my wallet. So I said, I'm so sorry, I just have a credit card, and I have a check too. Would you take it? No, I can't take that. Don't worry about it, you can move on. That's fine. And then he just kind of let me go. All kinds of strange things happen. These are endless stories, I can tell you. But the point is throughout that, kind of just feeling kind of floating through it, versus getting so uptight. Most people, they get a flat tire and they're so uptight, get so worried. Someone crashes in their car, I'm so worried, I'm so frightened, right? We feel so shaken by these things in life, but when you're in that yogic state and you're floating, those things are no big deal. You just sit in meditation, waiting for the tow truck guy to come. You relax. You're grateful for the time alone that you can kind of just sit and dive into that meditative space and just feel the joy bubbling up in your being. It's like that. So life is kind of more fun, even the so-called difficult times. They're also, in a way, they're kind of fun too. Part of the adventure. It's like taking life as an adventure as opposed to a struggle. And then you're never depressed. You're always smiling. You're always like, wow, this life is great. And then even getting up in the morning immediately, sort of in that state. And you're just so happy to wake up, looking forward to the day. Every single day. No exception. Right? You could get a virus. All right. I'll go with that. That's what the universe wants from me. What can I learn from that? You know? And I have even kind of a more radical idea about that too, which is, so the body dies from the virus. So be it. That's the time for the body to go. Who am I to say? Is it my decision for when the body should go? Let it go, right? Just take on another body. So, because we've gone like thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of bodies incarnating over and over and over again. I mean, so move on to the next life. So the whole life becomes this adventure and not so much of a concern of what might happen. So then one becomes so present here and now, because there's not a concern of what happened in the past or what will happen in the future. It's just, you're right here. That's what you would call presence. And it's deep. It's like it's such a deep experience of the now. Because the mind starts to sort of quiet down, and it's not thinking. It's just not thinking. You just stopping and sitting, and suddenly, almost like the world is gone. So those are some of the benefits of growing spiritually, and what I consider it as the sort of final evolution of humanity. It's the evolution of our society, not technology, not material things, but the inner world, your evolution on the inside. And how many people really are trying to evolve spiritually? Like if Fort Worth or Richland Hills was filled with people who were gung-ho about really diving deeply in their spiritual path, this place would be so packed you wouldn't have any room. People would want to be in that space as much as possible, because the more you attune, the quicker that evolutionary mechanism moves. So there's a technical name for evolutionary mechanism. Do you know what it is? Kundalini. Anyone familiar with the word? Yeah, that's the evolutionary mechanism. The Kundalini in a normal human being in this age is kind of asleep at the very bottom of the spine, in the Muladhara chakra and the root chakra. And so, therefore, we as humans feel ourselves to be body, physical. It's a physical experience of life, right? But as that energy gets activated through breath or some sort of yogic practice or connection with spiritual energy, it gets activated and it starts rising up the spine. One starts to feel more wide, more spacious, more meditative. Your experience of yourself becomes different. And the idea is to kind of coax it up the spine until ultimately it reaches the top of the head. And when it reaches the top of the head, then you experience yourself as, in a way, you could say, I am everywhere. So no longer associated with some physical body walking on a planet in time and space. Now you are beyond time and space, and you experience yourself as everything, as a cosmic being, you could say. Did you ever read a book called Autobiography of a Yogi? You did? Anyone else read that book? So this is a book I would recommend that you read. First of all, it's excellent writing. Very poetic, very beautiful writing. Secondly, very adventurous, very exciting. Thirdly, miraculous, because Yogananda, who is the saint who wrote that book, is explaining the states of all these different yogis and what some are levitating, some are becoming invisible, some are able to transport themselves from one location to another by location, things like that. And he's describing all these yogis that he met because he made a point to go visit them. Because he, like me, wanted to associate with spiritual people, right? To connect their energy and learn. And so he wrote this whole big book about it. It was made extremely popular by the Beatles. The Beatles read this. And it's a good kind of like beginning, this is a good start to understand the amazing things that can happen with the activation of the evolutionary mechanism. So the evolution happens as the Kundalini rises higher and higher and higher. And so the human evolves into what you would call divinity at the top of the head. This is the divine experience of I am everywhere. And that's pretty much it. That's the spiritual path right there. And when you come here, the idea is to do some clearing along this center channel, this spinal channel, so that the Kundalini has space to rise, because normally it's blocked. There's no room for it. And you know why it's blocked? Because of all the issues we have in our life, all the worries. The worries are energies that get embedded in this center channel that block this mechanism from moving upwards to higher realms of consciousness. So if you can remove the blocks, now there is space for that energy, that Kundalini to rise, and then you can have more profound experiences. So, in a way, this is kind of an esoteric lesson, but kind of helpful to know. Now, I can show you a way to do a clearing like that, so that the energy can rise into the heart. So once the Kundalini or the prana is life force. Kundalini is we call it the I, the sense of I. Normally we say I, body, right? That's I, me. But when the Kundalini or the I is here, you don't identify with this body. You're everything. You're not here. So you're a different I. So when the Kundalini enters into this space, then you feel true love. Then everyone is your brother and sister. You fall in love with everyone. No one can bother you. People could slap you, hurt you, make fun of you, do whatever to you, and your heart still remains open to them. Now you may physically stay away from them because you know that it's not, the body's going to get hurt if the person attacks you or whatever. So it's not like you lose your intelligence when you enter the heart. But the heart, it's like an openness, because normally if someone does even one mean word, and our heart already says, oh, that person's mean, and then it shuts down, and then we lose the love. So quick, like in an instant, it happens. But when this activates and is clear, that doesn't happen anymore. It no longer closes. Whatever situation you are in, your heart remains totally open. That's what I mean by a presence of love. And it literally is. I mean, it's like your heart becomes like a sun, and everyone gets affected who's around you. Your heart's beaming like a sun. And they may not know that they're affected, but they are. They're touched by it. Energetically speaking, something is happening inside them. So not only is this good for you to activate this energy center, but it will be good for others that you're sharing with them an energy that maybe would be good for their own spiritual journey. So okay, so let's try it. So we're gonna start by imagining a divine light at the very bottom of the spine. Call it like a pure white light at the very bottom, and try to visualize it as clearly as you can down there. What happens as you see it there, as you visualize, it can start to clear that energy center and stimulate the Kundalini energy. Just through the simple visualization. Set an intention to activate the Kundalini, that we can actually experience it, we can actually feel something. So you can kind of think that intention in your mind, because intention will make things happen. Just intention's very, very powerful. Just stating it in your mind alone. I want to activate the Kundalini. And we're going to have an intention for the pathway of the Kundalini up the spine to be cleared all the way up to the heart. So you can imagine it as a line from the very root at the bottom of the spine up to the heart space. And you can actually breathe, take a deep breath through the nose, and imagine moving the light up from the bottom of the spine into your sacrum, or your sacral chakra, your sacral center. So just take a deep breath and imagine moving it up. That light moves upward into the sacral center. And as the light enters into that space, it begins to clear that energy center. Visualize the pure white light in your sacrum. And then we're going to breathe the light up from the sacrum into the solar plexus at the back of the spine. So we take in a deep breath and imagine the light moving up. into the solar plexus. As the white light enters into that center, it begins to clear that space. Breathe that white light up from the solar plexus into the heart at the back of the spine, into the heart center. So taking in a deep breath, moving it up. And as the white light enters into the heart chakra, it begins to clear that space. If you really want to activate the heart space, you can take your right hand, place it on your heart like this, and then chant with me. This is a mantra for this activation, which is Om Hridayam. So, and actually you can even breathing into it would even be more powerful. So you breathe deeply into the heart, filling it with light. And as you breathe out, you say the mantra, Om Hridayam. Then you breathe out all the air, and then you breathe in again, filling it with light. Breathing out. Om Hridayam. Breathing out. Again, deep breath into the heart. Om Hridayam. Again, deep breath into the heart, filling it with light. Om Hridayam. Om Hridayam. Om Hridayam. Deep breath in. Om Hridayam. Om Hridayam. Om Hridayam. Om Hridayam. One last deep breath in. Om Hridayam. and just relax your hands. And feel the light in your heart now. And perhaps there's some warmth there, and softness. If you notice any change in your inner experience, you just put your attention on the change. This will help to increase the experience, enhance the experience, the inner experience, make it bigger, and also kind of give you more skill in attuning to subtle energy. This heart space is endowed with many beautiful qualities. Love, compassion, care, kindness, sweetness. So to really bring out those qualities, you can do this mudra, it's called a holy gesture, where you take your hands like this in a prayer position, except it's open on this side. See? So then I place the opening against my heart like this. Hold it there, and this is an activation principle. This will assist you in feeling more and really bringing forth the virtues of the heart space. First, you can just feel the sensation of the hands against the chest. And then, setting your intention to feel the deeper energetic process that's happening. Relax the hands and just notice your inner experience now. Sometimes it can take you into a meditation. this you could call a heart meditation. One way to be even more open to the presence there is simply to say, either aloud or in your mind, you can say the words, I allow. I accept. I am open. I surrender. Gently come back to the room and our seat and open our eyes. This is a heart awakening. If you kept doing this every day, amazing things would happen, because you're also activating your Kundalini energy as well, right? So you're trying to bring more and more awareness to this space. Does anyone have any questions about this, or for me so far? Does anyone have anything that they want to share regarding their experience so far? Any shift or
A couple of things. One, when we were trying to activate the Kundalini from the base, the song that came to me was Rise Up. So that's what I heard. And then when we were opening, one thing that came to me was that in the heart chakra was it is safe to open, because when we've been hurt, sometimes we close up and we don't feel like it's safe to open. So just, but that's what came to me, was it is safe to open.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, yeah. She says it's safe to open. I like that. Yeah. And did that help when you stated that to yourself?
It did.
Good. Yeah, because she's kind of going based upon her intuition, you know. Something might come up where you say something to yourself that will help things to start clearing or opening or whatever, depending on you, where you're at, what you need to hear. So that's great, yeah. Any other comments about that meditation?
Before I felt a lot of heart kind of energy, like through the beginning of the practice, and the beginning of the time,
Thank you for sharing that. So sometimes the visualization can be different from you. You don't have to follow the exact
Yeah.
visual that I give. If it comes to you naturally, then follow that. It's not like a regimented practice where one has to do it a certain way. We're like yogi soldiers. So yes, you can do that practice every day if you really want to bring your energy up to the heart. In regards to what you said, I want to mention one thing about that. So your heart chakra, this energy here, this can grow so huge that it's endless. It's an infinite space. So your heart encompasses everything. In other words, it's not just an energy right here, but I'm everywhere in terms of the heart. That's not spoken a lot about because we think in terms of just limited chakras. But it's interesting, like just as a kind of side note, with Swami Purna, if you try to see his chakras, you'll find out that he has none. He has none. Unless he wants you to see some chakras, he'll show you them. He'll show you something because you want to see it, but otherwise, he has none. So,
That's so clear.
well, because he's beyond chakras. So, I'm not going to get into too much detail about this, but Swami Purna was born an illumined being. So, see, we're trying to ascend into higher realms of spirituality. But once in a while, there are beings that come down onto earth that descend, that they're already completely free beings. We call them pure beings of light they're just pure, no karma, nothing. They're just absolutely pure. So they descend onto earth and then take on a body and then might give you some chakras or not, depending, but they're beyond that. So it's an unusual thing. And he comes to every one of these gatherings to support each person where they're at, to help them with their personal experience. So whatever clearing, whatever blocks or awakening, whatever structures, he comes to each person and assists. And if you could see, if you had spiritual vision, you could see him, working with each person. So it's kind of an amazing thing. That's why I kind of credit whatever happens here is more kind of because of his assistance. He joins us in a subtle way. So it's just it's interesting.
Is he still in a physical body?
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's in India right now. Also, and he's an immortal being also, meaning that he chooses when to cast off the body, and no one knows how old he is. No one knows. 200, who knows? It's anyone's guess. He doesn't speak about that. Because it's not really the point of like how old the body is. Because it doesn't matter in regards to spirituality how old the body appears or how old they are. But it's a matter of who you are. Are you identifying with just a limited sense of body? Or are you the whole? Are you everywhere? And being that his name is Swami Purna is very fitting, because Purna means whole and complete. It means I am everywhere and everything. So it's a perfect name for what he represents. So anyway, there's something beautiful about that. So let's chant one more mantra specifically to invoke the presence of love. Now, do you remember the name for love, the Sanskrit word? Yes, premam, or prema, yeah. So then this one is Purnam Premam Anandam. Purnam means wholeness. Premam means love. Anandam means bliss. So it's activating the bliss of love, where love becomes so intense that now you're sent into the realms of bliss. It's so strong that you're just crying, just in tears, that love is so strong. That's the Ananda. That's where you don't want anything more from life. You don't need anything more. You're so happy. So just listen to me first to get the tune, and then you can sing with me. It's pretty easy. again, you can really take in 3 deep breaths into the heart and fill the heart with the energy of that mantra. And we relax. And you can do a clearing of the heart, a very simple clearing. And you can do this anytime, where again, you just place your hand on your heart. And this is really helpful because it'll kind of like get rid of any layers of karma, any issues in the heart, so it can awaken more. And you may or may not feel these issues on the surface as I name them, but they can also come from past lives as well. So just be open to releasing whatever is there. Just being totally open. You can repeat after me aloud. I let go of all sadness. I let go of all sorrow. I let go of all fear. I release all betrayal. I release all hurt. I release all disappointment. And then with the right hand on the heart, we're now going to say an affirmation together, or I'll say it and then you say it. I accept myself just as I am. I value my heart. I am opening more and more to love. I love myself just as I am. Just kind of let that sink in. You don't have to really think anything about it. There's no need really to think. Just let it sink in. And a clearing can happen more deeply that way. You can visualize your heart glowing with the light now, and imagine that that light expands and it starts to move up into your head and all the way down your torso, into your legs, your feet, into your arms and your hands. The light of the heart expands to fill your whole body. And then it fills your aura, surrounds you. And then the light expands even more to fill the whole room. And then it enters into the night sky and keeps expanding to cover the whole town, all the roads, all the trees, all the cars, all the people. The light keeps expanding all the way across the state, consuming all the mountains, all the forests, all the lakes, all the cities, and that light expands across the country. It spreads across the ocean, through the ocean, consuming all the fishes, all the wildlife in the ocean. Continuing to expand until the light fills the entire earth, all the way to its core. And then the light of the heart spreads into the atmosphere and into space. consuming the planets and the sun. This light spreads through the whole solar system and into deep space to the distant stars. Till it covers the entire Milky Way galaxy. And then the light continues to expand to other galaxies, filling the entire universe with just this pure light of the heart. Until there is only one infinite light. You are this one light. our heart. We chant together the mantra Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, sending peace to all beings in this world. Be unto all.